So this child from Windhelm wishes for his caretaker's death? Having tasted the sting of an abusive crone's beatings, I can see why. The hags used to test their spells on me for amusement. Each time I'd leave with a new scar, if not on my body, then etched deep in my mind. I can only imagine that. What this Aretino suffered was nothing short of what I've endured.
We're not kicking you out. Just keep the sermons at the
What do you think we were doing back in Darklight Tower? But yes, as a child, each day I would pray for a release from the pain, for all the hags to vanish from this world forever. Funny how it is. The only gods I knew were the Daedric lords, but still I prayed, not knowing to whom. And I owe my gratitude to no one but you. I've prayed ever since I first had the concept of gods and prayers, and still I endured a decade of torment and hatred. It was you who saved me, not the gods. Your embrace makes it all a little easier to bear. If what Aretino said was true, then yes, wholeheartedly. There's nothing more despicable than inflicting pain on a child just because one can. I was too weak to save that girl from the Darklight Coven's torments, but I can still save the children in Riften and avenge their suffering. Then have the guards arrest her or exile her from Riften. Either way, she mustn't torture the children further. As much as the thought of punishing an abusive crone gives me satisfaction, saving the little ones, that's what matters. Of course. Their betrayal must have cut so deep that it stirred such hatred in her soul, one that a girl like her shouldn't have to bear. I understand it well, even if my own scars are different from hers. It's been a decade already, yet I still remember it as if it were yesterday. There was a hag who stood apart from the others, never adding to my misery. In time, I came to trust her. And I, so idiotically, confided in her my plan to slip away from the Darklight Tower for a few days, while the hags busied themselves with the ritual. The scars from the beatings have faded, yet there's still a lingering ache whenever I touch those places. I know. I swore never to trust again, and I have held to that vow until you crossed my path. You showed me I can still trust. Maybe one day this Muri will learn to have faith in someone again. The Emperor of Cyrodiil, huh? He's quite the controversial figure on the continent from what I've gathered. Look, I spent most of my life in a tower. You'll have to preach your politics to someone who knows who's who. I don't know the Emperor, but I know you, and I trust your wisdom. If you think the Emperor needs to die, then I'll aid you as I always did. Vittoria Vici, she's the leader of the East Empire Company, no? It's a pity that any woman must die in her own wedding. It's supposed to be a moment of romance and oneness, not blood and terror. Even a monster is capable of love, and a witch may have someone to come home to. But I suppose you have a point. My mother knew love once, and still she chose evil instead of her daughter. A jester and assassins make for strange bedfellows. You know, this reminds me of a task the hags gave me years ago. I was supposed to hunt down another hag who deserted Darklight Tower. An eccentric, insane woman who jested about the darkest matters. Not unlike your clown, I'd imagine. She came to Darklight Tower only a few years ago, and already she had mastered the dark arts and communed with the worst Daedric lords. Supposedly, she trained with a Hagraven who had dominated a forsworn clan, and she acquired not just dark magics, but also an appetite for power. In her pursuit of power, she summoned the flames of the Deadlands. The entire forsworn clan burned alive, the Hagraven included. When the hags of Darklight asked about those who trained her, she just laughed about the smell of burned flesh. If she were a righteous vigilant who killed to protect, I might even respect her. But she wasn't even trying to kill them. Those forsworn were just caught in her ritual. All that for nothing but power. Just as she sought power from the Darklight Coven, the Coven also pursued her knowledge of Oblivion. Whether she was loyal or could be manipulated made little difference. All that mattered was that she could bring the Coven closer to the Daedra. She had acquired what knowledge she came for. The Darklight Coven had nothing more to offer her. Naturally, the Coven had never been humiliated in such a way. Because they didn't think I could make it back. Her power could rival a fully ascended Hagraven. To pursue her was nothing short of suicide. Who better to do that if not the one useless witch who never willingly joined their foul rites? By sheer luck I did. When I found her, a snowstorm happened without a sign, where a howling white death raged through the wild winds. My ice spells surged with power, while she struggled to aim her fire spells at me. It was a close call nonetheless. When I returned with her staff, the Coven inspected it for hours before they finally believed it was indeed hers. And my mother stayed silent the whole time, as if she already knew it was the deserter's staff, that I had truly defeated her. I suppose that makes the difference. But this jester has managed to wound the best of the Brotherhood's assassins right before escaping under their noses. And now he's in a sanctuary which he knows inside out, and no one from the Brotherhood has your back but a crazed werewolf. How is it that they aren't sending you to your death? You're asking the wrong person about that. I'm not a Dark Sister, nor do I know Cicero except from what you've told me. I killed the hag not because she deserted that God's forsaken coven, but because she threatened to consume entire towns with flames. Even if I wasn't in the coven, I would have tried to stop her. But do you see yourself fighting this Cicero if you weren't bound by the Brotherhood? Then it's up to you to think how best to act as a member of the Dark Brotherhood. Just know that whichever path you choose, I'll stand by you. So, Carlia wants you to sell your soul to the Dark Mistress Nocturnal, just as she and Mercer Frey once did. What did you decide then? You mean, even with all the temptations that Nocturnal has offered, you retain your soul still? Can I ask why? Precisely. If you ask me, I'm feeling bright about our chances. You may not have won Nocturnal's favor in the struggle against Mercer, but your soul remains intact, untouched by the Daedra. That, I believe, is our greatest victory in all of this. So, you possess the artifact that both men and Daedra desire. What are you gonna do with it? I won't argue. Every time a Daedra's artifact is unleashed in our world, misery is sure to follow. Mercer Frey's greed may have caused this tragedy, but without Nocturnal's temptation, none of this would have come to pass. Men can weave schemes of evil with or without the skeleton key, But take away the key, and they lose an instrument to fulfill their plots.